Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball. Welcome to the postseason. The Boilers are sure happy to be here as they turn it up in Chicago and send Nick Martinelli and the Wildcats home. But without further ado, let's run it. This one ends in a final score of Purdue 81, Northwestern 68. 5 days of rest and the postseason officially starting had this Purdue team looking different from the jump in the United Center. We didn't necessarily keep that pace for the whole game, but that initial jump was everything we needed to hold off this worn down, short-handed Northwestern team. You got to give Northwestern their props, though. This is their third game in 3 days, missing Arrington Page due to illness for the entirety of this Big Ten tournament, yet they still battled down the stretch and had a much better second half than they've had nearly all season, especially Nick Martinelli. We have to give him his flowers. He deserves all of them for his growth as a player over these 4 years and single-handedly willing this team to this third round and sticking with this program when he could have easily gotten great money elsewhere after leading the Big Ten in scoring last year and then coming back and doing it again this year. It was him and Jaden Reed who tried to take over this game for the Wildcats and did a pretty good job in the second half, too, especially. Jaden Reed only had 2 points in the first half and finished with 19, second to only Martinelli with his 25. The Wildcats shot the ball pretty well, all things considered, 53% from the floor, 43% from three after their incredible start to the second half. They were 0 for 6 in the first half from beyond the arc and completely flipped the script to hit 6 out of their 8 in the second half. But Purdue just physically bullied them throughout the whole game without Page on the floor. Total front court domination from Purdue, especially with Trey Kaufman-Renn and Oscar Clough. TKR ends with a stat line of 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 8 for 9 from the floor. 4 of his 6 rebounds were offensive rebounds and just no turnovers. The fact that he was able to limit the turnovers in this one was also huge. And for Clough, he had 19 points on 7 of 10 shooting, a perfect 5 for 5 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block, and 2 turnovers. So just totally filling the stat sheet. Especially great to see Clough getting going like this, finally getting back into double-double territory. But also just the concept of seeing him getting involved in the offensive end early and often and being efficient with it. A couple of little ones missed here and there, but again, 70% from the floor, right where he's averaging for the season. Just getting that out of him and seeing him look comfortable and aggressive again on the boards, again against a worn down Northwestern team that really didn't have any sense of a center out there. But just reiterating, combined, these two had 38, 16, 4 assists with a steal, a block, and 2 turnovers, 10 offensive rebounds on 15 of 19 shooting. It's just straight up elite. You can't get better than that. But that's how it should be with bigs of their capabilities against a pageless Northwestern team. But moving on to Braden Smith, he becomes the single game Big Ten tournament assist record holder in this game, ended with 16 assists to just 1 turnover. He quite literally could have had 20 if we just hit a couple of open threes and some little bunnies around the rim that we missed. But better to just see Braden play with such confidence compared to how Northwestern was able to shake him the last game they played. He still doesn't shoot too well. He only ends up with 5 points on 2 of 8 shooting, 1 for 4 from three. But adding on 2 steals and a block to the incredible playmaking performance he had, it's still an elite game from Braden, as he also firmly stepped into second all-time on the NCAA assist leaderboard. He's got a real shot at overtaking Bobby Hurley for number one, but I just want us to focus on winning games, and the assists will come. Moving on to Fletcher Lawyer, he's the only other Boilermaker in double digits. He ends with 14 points on 5 of 12 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3, perfect 2 for 2 from the free throw line, a rebound, an assist, a steal, and a turnover. He really could have helped Braden out with a couple more of his threes falling, but overall, you're not going to get upset at him putting up 14 points in his 28 minutes. And also just have an effect in other parts of the floor. He wasn't a complete defensive liability. He ends up with, the 1 steal there. And again, just kind of keeping his confidence up and his shooting rolling, even if he was only, 2 for 7 this game. he could have easily had one or two of those other ones fall. And I'm looking forward to seeing if he can keep up that shooting and really elevate against, some of these better teams coming up. But for Purdue as a whole, we really just got out to that hot start. We were already up 10 with just 8 minutes in, thanks to some more inspired offense, establishing our paint presence early and often between Clough and TKR. It was just something we knew we needed to take advantage of due to their lack of size. We punished them right away. But it wasn't our greatest shooting night outside, so we really lived inside out, and it worked for us in this game mainly because we were able to attack the ball screens so much better than last time. Whether it was Braden finding his way around, cross-court passing over the top, or even just getting the ball out of his hands to then snake back around and get it back already running near full speed, it felt like we just had a way better strategy for navigating these ball screen traps this second time. It was much more Houston-esque performance from Braden. Obviously, 15 assists against Houston, 16 here. Clearly, whatever we were doing was working, and we kept them on their toes rather than them being able to push us back. But this game was won on the glass. We really did not shoot well at all, just 49% from the floor and 35% from three. I guess that's a bit of an over exaggeration to say not shoot well at all. But both of those are below average for us. And especially in the second half, the threes really were not falling despite us getting a lot of open ones. We were 5 for 12 from deep in the first half when the offense really was clicking, but just 3 for 11 in the second half brought us back down to that 8 for 23 that we finished at as a team. But that meant a lot more opportunities on the boards, and we delivered. We won the rebounding battle 35 to 23, but we especially dominated on the offensive glass, ending up with 16 offensive rebounds to their 7, which was identical to the Wisconsin game. But we just kept giving ourselves more opportunities, and it led to us being able to keep our lead very solid, even while Northwestern got really hot in the middle of the second half there from deep. We had 4 offensive rebounds for TKR, 6 for Clough, 3 for Cox, and 1 for Daniel Jacobson. But I want to specifically highlight CJ Cox because he once again didn't shoot all that well in this game, but had 7 total rebounds. Obviously, we mentioned 3 of those being on the offensive end. So he's, even if he's not going to be able to shoot the 20 plus points per game and over 50% from three, he could still make a big effect elsewhere and over the course of this game. So it was really great to see him get involved on the glass as our second leading rebounder. He was ahead of TKR with 6, his 7, and obviously only behind Clough with his 10. But moving into some of the plus minuses that I like looking at, Braden was our biggest difference maker, and it was clear both in the stat sheet, out on the floor, this entire game. He was plus 17 for the game in his 36 minutes, followed by plus 15 from Lawyer and plus 12 from Clough. Just an overall super positive game, especially from our starters there, with all 3 of our leading scorers being those three starters between TKR, Clough, and Lawyer. But you still saw significant regression from the bench, but not nearly as many negative minutes overall. You were actually plus 1 for Jacobson in his 10 minutes, but he had a couple of really easy bunnies that he missed, which was super unfortunate. But he sank 3 out of 4 free throws while he was in there, ends with 5 points and 1 offensive rebound. Omer Meyer actually was the only negative on the game. He was minus 2 in his 13 minutes, but that was really much more from him just happening to be on the court while Northwestern got hot from 3 in the middle of the second half. He was able to get his shot back a little bit. He ends up with 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3, with 2 assists and a turnover. So overall, I'm just happy to see him, see some shots fall. We're going to need that from him throughout the course of the rest of this Big Ten tournament if we can keep winning, as well as most definitely in the NCAA tournament. And moving on to Jack Benter, he may not have gotten either 3 to fall for him. He was over 2, but he was part of some very positive minutes with his plus 7 in his 10 minutes. He was active on the defensive end. He was able to take a charge and attempted to take a second one that he didn't end up getting. But if he can get his confidence back in his outside shot, he becomes a major boost as the backup 4 for this team. And we even got some positive minutes out of Jakari Harris after I keep saying that we kind of need to get him out of the rotation. He proves me wrong a little bit this game. He was only plus 1 in his 15 minutes, but ends up with 6 points, hitting both of his threes, 2 for 2, with 2 rebounds. He just looked more confident in his shot and, in his place out on the floor. And that's the Jakar that we are going to need if we're going to keep putting him out there for 10 to 15 minutes. He gets 15 minutes in this one. Also nice to see us get to the free throw line 17 times and hit 13 of them. That'll happen more often if we keep playing inside out. We forced a lot more fouls based on our physicality down low, and we need to keep establishing that, like even against bigger teams than this. But a quick run through of some of the other team stats. We had 25 assists on our 30 made field goals. That's fantastic. Only 7 turnovers for the game compared to their 9. So even though Northwestern is a team that takes care of the ball really, really well, we were able to beat them on that stat as well. And then 4 steals and 2 blocks just rounds out a much more competent defensive performance for the Boilers. It was great to see us just, be able to stifle some waves, even though with them hitting a lot more threes in the second half, we were able to, stay calm, not let, a massive comeback like we did against Nebraska just last month. It was a real positive performance to see starting the postseason because it's going to get a lot more difficult from here. It's a quick turnaround. Welcome to the Big Ten tournament. We will have to rest up as much as possible because coming up next, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who I just mentioned, are waiting for their turn at revenge for the loss we handed them at Lincoln back in February. And they'll be well rested with 5 days of rest of their own before tip-off tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, again in the United Center. You will not want to miss it. But that's all I've got for today. Don't blink or you'll miss it. So many amazing games happening right now across all the conference tournaments. You can see if your predictions and ours survive the test of time. But I'm going to keep trying to get these recaps out fast, so stay tuned. Hopefully, Purdue gives me plenty more to make before the season comes to an end. But if you want more from us, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm out.